Welcome to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is a doctor himself.
Hello.
Each week we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners just like you listening right now. Oh, we are getting close to Christmas, which means we are on the 6th episode of DocMas.
And you gave us twice the amount of drink for this episode, just for the record.
Oops. Ooh, Daddy was bad.
I don't like that.
Ooh.
Do you call me daddy because my child is in the studio right now?
Mrs. Dr. DC is here.
Smooth.
With their daughter, so proof that they have sex.
Wow. Great transition.
Wow, that was
That's
flawless.
some grade A hosting.
Hey there, guys.
Yeah, I'm real sauced, so
Nice.
deal with it.
So yes, both Mrs. DC, Mrs. Dr. DC.
Who's on a recent Patreon episode, so if you're interested in
is,
hearing
that's
more
right.
from her, you can go in to listen to that.
She's on Double
If you-
Dose number 3.
If you hate her, there's like multiple other episodes that she's not on, so
Oh my god, so many episodes without her. So pretty much either way.
you're happy.
Yeah, you guys are going to win, whether you like me or not.
But also Baby DC, or according to the Twitter poll, Kyle.
Yeah, we're going to change her name. Thank you for your recommendations and your votes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So baby DC is here. Why don't we get into some news, you guys?
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
I think this is something you'll have an opinion on, at least slightly. In this week's news, Titans actors apparently are teasing a possible Arrowverse crossover.
Sorry. Oh, really?
Yeah, saying that it's inevitable.
What? Yo, I would be so into that. I mean, you right now are getting into the Arrowverse again because you've caught up on the Flash. You're watching through Legends of Tomorrow. You're
That's
also
right.
watching Titans. Are you? Would you want to see them cross over?
Oh my god, I don't think they should, but I would totally listen to whatever that is. I watch whatever that is.
I don't think the Arrowverse could stomach what the Titans
The
universe,
brutality of that?
I think that like instantly like Green Arrow would show up and they'd see something like they'd see the Titans like finish a fight and break someone's arm and he'd like go puke behind a dumpster or something.
Well, they got to do something. Poor Arrow.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Have you been watching Titans yet?
I've just heard exclamations of excitement from the other room as the doctor watches.
Yes.
And I haven't watched Arrow since probably season 1, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
What about The Flash?
After
You stopped like partway through season 3, right?
I stopped after
I was in the same boat.
after his dad legit dies. Spoiler
Oh, that's
alert.
season 2.
Yeah.
That's Zoom. Zoom kills his dad.
Yeah.
So that's right where I left as well. And then I came back. Once you come back and kind of get past that, it gets good again.
I can't do it. It's
I
too
said I
much of
couldn't
an
either,
investment.
but I did. Oh, that's true. Yeah, you got a
Too much
kid,
of-
I guess.
It's
but
too much of an investment.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do that, I'm going to stick with an Old Faithful. Yes.
Yeah.
Baby DC.
Baby DC has no time for that.
Good job, Kyle.
We're watching too much Brooklyn Nine-Nine, okay?
Oh my God, how excited are you for them to come back in January?
Do you know what I want?
for
I
the
want a
frickin'
crossover
movie.
between Titans and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I want to see the
Seriously.
Much like the New Girl and Brooklyn Nine-Nine crossover.
That was
Is that a thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
When
Zooey
Zoe
Deschanel
Deschanel was there and Jake tries to commandeer the vehicle and she's got the soup.
Oh, God, I don't even remember that. Is that
She-
the most recent season?
No, it was
season
like
3.
season 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Season
I
3 or
don't
season
remember that
4?
actually.
We just
Idiot.
watched that one the
I don't
other
like
day.
Zoe Deschanel. I probably blacked it out.
Well,
What?
anyway,
She's not good.
Jake
She's
is,
hot though.
Jake is chasing a criminal and he tries to commandeer her vehicle and she's like, it's a crossover, and it's really stupid. She's got soup.
Oh.
It's nonsense.
Yeah, it's it's
interesting.
nonsense, but it did happen.
I would be up for a big crossover, but if you're going to go that far and include like the Titans universe, which also includes the Doom Patrol, remember, then I think we should also include, for better or worse, Black Lightning.
Ugh.
Throw them all together.
grown.
It's a
this-
crossover, Jefferson.
Damn it, you got
all
Jefferson.
of the worlds are merging.
No, the only Jefferson Pierce I want to see is a newly invented Terry Crews Jefferson Pierce. Throw Terry Crews,
Ooh.
DC execs. Throw Terry Crews into anything.
Yeah, do a Terry Crews impression, Doc.
Doctor loves Terry Crews.
I was just gonna say. I was like, I love yogurt, Jefferson.
Jefferson, I've always loved yogurt. You can see how passionate I am about it. It's me, James Remar, famed actor from Jean-Claude Van Damme's The Quest.
Famed act. Anytime that John Claude's
Divine.
I played
realness.
Maxie Devine. I'm an American boxer who immediately concedes his position in this international tournament to a man I've never met.
as you do.
Why can't you just enjoy it for what it is?
I think you're the only person on the planet.
Racially insensitive.
You're the only person
nonsense.
on the planet that enjoys The Quest.
I don't think that's true.
I think it must be.
It must be.
It must be, or Trump has won.
That's right.
Hold on.
That's right. You heard it here. Mrs. DC loves Trump's America.
Oh my God, the number of lawn signs I've had to take down.
I hate you both so much.
No wonder she likes Alaska so much.
Yeah, no, Alaska's one of my favorite drag queens. So there.
That's okay. That's fair.
Oh,
So sashay away.
Netflix addicts will love that joke.
Hey, if you don't love yourself, how are you supposed to love anybody else?
Right.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
With that, let's turn over the question.
I mean, before we get to questions, you took it upon yourself to sort of reinvent your appearance from DocMas last year.
Yes.
So why don't you explain what you've done and how we've come to this place?
Okay, so those of you who are faithful listeners will know that last DocMas I was tasked with bringing in one of our
that's right.
little pop figurines from home
That's right.
to discuss. This year, I lined up all the DC characters on the floor,
Okay.
and I
She liked that.
Yeah,
That was her favorite part.
put the baby on the floor, and whichever one the baby went to, I brought it in, and baby DC is in love with the Reverse Flash.
Specifically,
So that's who we brought in.
the Arrowverse Reverse Flash. That's the one that you brought in. So, let's just jump in there. What do you know about Reverse Flash?
I know that Reverse Flash from the Flash TV show is Eobard Thawne.
Yep.
He's the one that killed Nora Allen.
Yep.
And he's stuck in the current continuity line.
Yeah, he's stuck in
Yeah.
the quote unquote present.
Yeah, and he had to get Barry to help him because Barry had to get fast enough to open, the portals or whatever,
So he can go-
Speed Force.
Yeah.
And and he can vibrate into people and things like that to kill them. That's literally all I know.
Yeah, basically, Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, he has many of the similar powers of the Flash in terms of speed and like vibration and phasing and things like that. In the comics book and in the show, yes, he's responsible for the death of Nora Allen. In the show, when he does that, he does it to erase the Flash. But what he ends up doing is when the Flash doesn't exist, then there's no Speed Force for him to access, and then he ends up stuck in the past. So that's what causes him to be stuck there. Baby DC is currently eating all of the audio equipment.
As she should.
That's what happened.
Way to go, Kyle.
Good job, Kyle.
In the comics, the Reverse Flash taps into the negative Speed Force, which is like a sort of cancerous inversion of the regular Speed Force. But that allows Eobard Thawne to make changes to the timeline that doesn't necessarily affect his own existence. So he's a bit different from the Flash because obviously we know when the Flash changes the timeline, we get Flashpoint. When Eobard Thawne does it, things are somehow fine. So yeah, that's Reverse Flash. This pop figure is great because I actually really like the design of the CW Flash. Like, I think they realized that yellow as a suit is too much on screen, so they added all of like the black to the pants and the arms and stuff like that. I actually think it's a cool look. It almost looks like he's been burned up from like using his speed so much. Like he's so like aggressive with his speed that it's actually like scorching his suit. That's sort of like the look that it's got. I love that. I think,
like that.
I think the CW was really onto something with the Reverse Flash suit, and I love both. Tom Cavanaugh, who plays the Harrison Wells Eobard Thawne, also Matt Lensher, who plays like Eobard Thawne. And he does that on both Flash and on Legends of Tomorrow.
When in that recent episode where they go back in time,
Yeah, it's good, eh?
God, it's so good.
So yeah, so thank you, Kyle, for
Good job, Kyle.
You know that Grandpa DC is going to be pissed that you're calling his granddaughter Kyle.
Well, he should have voted harder in the Twitter poll.
But actually, I have a question for you.
Sure.
With Reverse Flash, do you feel that the CW did the comic version justice?
I think more than any other character, Eobard Thawne is probably given the most justice. Like, you know, there's a lot of the same sort of origin, the same sort of motivation, the hatred, that sort of thing. I mean, obviously it's different because Harrison Wells isn't a thing in the comics. That idea of like assuming a fake identity isn't really a thing. But that idea that he just kind of hates the Flash because he's the one that's supposed to hate the Flash. Like he learns in the future that he's meant to be a villain because time travel is crazy. Like that sort of thing is super interesting. And I actually think they play it really well in the show. It's obviously an adaptation. There are details there that change. He's not from as far in the future as he is in the comics.
Okay.
I think in the show, he's only about like a century and a half in the future, if that. And in the comics, he's from the 25th century.
Oh, okay.
So he's, which is coincidentally the same century from which Booster Gold comes from.
I learned something today.
But in general, that's pretty close. And I think just in terms of how the characters relate to each other, in terms of that dynamic, that sort of like, we're villains, but only because history dictates we're villains. Like it's that sort of like weird paradox of time kind of thing. I actually do think the CW shows do a pretty good job of Eobard Thawne.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so that's who we brought with us into the studio today.
Amazing. Good
Big
choice.
DC is eating him at the moment, but
Well, that's what he gets.
when we go home after this episode, Eobard Thawne can stay here with you guys.
Amazing. Covered in baby slobber.
Well, with that, let's head over to the questions.
Please.
Let's head on over to Twitter.
Twitter.
Ooh.
Someone has caught up and has given me shit for all the smack talk I've given her.
Someone has caught up on the 16 weeks that she was behind.
I'm impressed.
As she was listening through, she was like, hey, stop calling me out.
As she should.
Well, as long as you don't call me a bitch and say that you don't like me.
My wife is a bitch and I don't like her. Thank you, John Mulaney.
Thank you, John Mulaney.
Oh, God.
My standards are pretty low for that stuff.
And with husbands.
Oh, fuck you. Cover the baby's ears.
We're about to say some inappropriate stuff.
Dash will turn off the podcast.
Seriously. First question comes from our sexual space texter,
What?
Cosmic DM.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, I was like, are you talking about Josh Gill again?
Oh, God, don't get me started on that sexy motherfucker.
Please don't get him started.
I'm already started. Cosmic DM asks, you've kind of talked about pre and post Crisis, but could you explain it a bit more? Also, how Final Crisis and the New 52 slot into it?
Sure. So, yeah, pre and post Crisis is like this big demarcation point in the comics, and basically what it refers to is there's the comic multiverse before the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and there's the comic continuity post that. So before the Crisis on Infinite Earths, there were just multiple Earths, and part of that was an explanation for DC for why there were different Golden Age versions of characters than the Silver Age. So characters like Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkman, the Atom had different interpretations in like the 40s and 50s versus the like late 50s and the 60s. So they made that like Earth 1, Earth 2. And then as that expanded, then there was an Earth 3 with evil versions of the Justice League. And then there was, et cetera, like all of these different Earths. In Crisis on Infinite Earths, the premise of that story is that the Anti-Monitor is basically destroying the multiverse. He's eliminating the Infinite Earths. And at the end of that story, 5 Earths are merged together into one new continuity. I know, isn't it crazy? One continuity. And in that one, then the Golden Age became like the war era heroes. They became like the predecessors to the Justice League. So it was like Justice Society during the war, and then Justice League, and then onward and onward. So pre and post Crisis basically refers to like the idea of how that continuity works. Were they different people on different Earths, or were they all part of one history? And that's a major shift in the continuity. It fucks some characters up, like Hawkman and Donna Troy and things like that. But that's why that's such a big demarcation point. That's also like the first basically ever comic book event that like addresses an entire company's continuity. Crisis on Infinite Earths was like a brand new idea. You know, now we're so used to these things like Contest of Champions or Secret Wars or, Infinite Crisis, all of these different things, they become commonplace. But at the time, that was the first time it had ever happened. So those two things are very separate. The New 52 is basically like the next version of Post-Crisis.
Yeah.
Even though some continuity changed from Infinite Crisis and Final Crisis, the next big one was Flashpoint, right? That was like a big like reboot, we're starting over kind of series. And the New 52 followed that. So that's another demarcation point of we had pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths, Crisis happens, then this is what the history of the DC Universe looks like. There are some modest to confusing changes through Infinite Crisis and Final Crisis, but then Flashpoint happens and we basically start over again, and the New 52 was another new continuity. And now we're into DC Rebirth, which is basically trying to reconcile post-Crisis DC Universe with post-Flashpoint DC Universe. So it's New 52 and post-Crisis sort of blended together. The best of each continuity is meant to be true now. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's head on to the next question from Stump Chunkman.
Step into the stump! Stump Chunkman! Blah!
I won't do that.
Do the blah.
Blah.
Nice.
So enthusiastic.
Oh, yeah. It's a great question. Why don't we see more Martian Manhunter?
Let's turn this over to you. Why do you think Martian Manhunter only gets like limited run series or doesn't like hold down like an ongoing title of his own?
And honestly, from what I see when we watched like the animated pieces and his appearance on Supergirl,
Yep.
I don't know why they wouldn't invest more in him. He's very interesting. There's a lot of layers there. The story can span so many different options or universes with him as a character.
Sure.
I really have no idea why.
Let's flip this question around a little bit. What is it that you think are like the strongest elements of the Martian Manhunter? Like what do you think you would, if someone was writing a Martian Manhunter story, what would you hope to see in it?
I'd like to see a little bit more of his backstory. You know, we know some of it.
Sure.
I've heard bits and pieces before, but an actual origin story would be really interesting.
Part of the problem there is that every time they write a Martian Manhunter story, they amend that backstory. That origin has changed basically every time someone has written Martian
At least
Manhunter.
there's like two pieces that you can't change because you can't change Martian and Manhunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always has to be.
Yeah, at least you get those two pieces. Which I think those are
you know the version
significant.
we've never got is just like a Martian dude trolling for D. Oh, it's just the Martian Manhunter.
And with the hotness of that of John Jones and Martian
We've already
Manhunter.
discussed how sexy Martian Manhunter
That was a question that we got was
in a previous DocMas.
is Martian
episode.
Manhunter the sexiest DC character? So
And we resolutely agreed.
yeah.
No?
Who's your
No.
sexiest DC character? I mean,
Who's sexier than John Johns?
female wise, Zatanna, but I mean that's just my.
I think objectively it's still John Johns. But
I can't get Tom Hardy Bane out of my head. Tom Hardy Bane.
Oh, you want to know what it's like in the bedroom, brother?
When I said I like the darkness, I didn't mean from the front.
My penis rises.
I'm going to break your back.
I wondered what would break first, the bed springs or your body.
You're welcome, listeners. You're welcome.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I think for me, for Martian Manhunter, I think I've accepted the fact that he's just not that generically popular of a character. But in terms of like, I don't know, as someone that loves comic books, I really wish that more people were into it. I think I understand that as a business, Martian Manhunter isn't going to like carry DC, but like as someone that really loves the characters, I wish that was a thing.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, let's go on to the next question then.
Let's do it.
From Mallory Vanier.
Who's that?
I don't know. Somebody unimportant.
Hey,
Wow.
Too far.
Defensive. Wow.
watch it.
An amazing artist. And,
Kyle, get him.
oh my God, I'm being gummed to death. I don't-
That's pretty much her move.
Yeah, I hope you don't like where that perfectly placed hair is placed. She's gonna mess it up.
oh no.
She's staring at Richard a lot.
Did we do a video for this episode, by the way?
No.
Oh, I should do that right now. Wow, these are getting later and later in the episode.
You keep forgetting more and more.
I'm just getting farther and farther drunk. Look at this.
Hey! Having like the craziest size of drink that Richard
Wow, have you
poured.
even drank anything? I don't understand.
Okay, I'm catching up. Jesus.
This is episode 6?
6.
Yeah. Sorry, were you looking for confirmation? Yes.
Say hi,
Hi.
devoted listeners.
Hi.
That's Baby DC.
This is Papa DC.
No.
Daddy Thick.
Daddy Thick.
Yeah.
It's like, hi, welcome to the
Wow.
Dr. DC podcast. I'm Daddy Thick. Across from me is the doctor himself.
That's right.
I don't like it.
Far across because Daddy's Thick.
There is a reason that we're not going to come to Uncle Richard's anymore.
Yeah.
Your Honor.
All right. Let's see what Mallory Vanya has to say.
Let's see.
If you and Richard and let's say Mrs. DC
Sure.
were to become DC characters, what would be your backstories and powers be?
Right. If if
I like how grabby this baby DC is.
so not
Just
becoming
like her mommy.
hey.
You're welcome.
So not becoming an existing DC character, I'm assuming.
No, I think your own personal character.
If I just lived in the DC universe and
Yeah.
imagined myself to be a metahuman,
Yeah, what would your backstory and powers be?
well, let's see. I think my metahuman power would be something about like I'd have some sort of like insane like memory, right? Like that's pretty much what I prey on for this podcast, right? Is that I know and retain a bunch about DC.
Yeah.
So if I was in the DC universe, I think I'd have some sort of like metahuman kind of memory ability. So maybe I'm like a struggling grad student and I can't write this paper.
What, for the second time?
I dropped out once. And then, I was struggling grad student, and I accidentally or like I submit myself for this experiment that's supposed to like enhance my like mental ability, but it just gives me full access to my like complete memory, and then I become this sort of like preternaturally like I'm basically like a computer. I can retain literally anything, but like beyond eidetic memory. Like maybe I can gain memories that I never even had, or like access other people's memories. I
Or
think
like Assassin's Creed have access to like your
yeah,
ancestors' memories.
or some shit like that. Yeah, I think that would be the thing. Yeah, I
like
like
that.
that. How about you?
Well, honestly, I created one of the characters for your Dial H, and the more I think about this character, I think that I would be good at this.
Wait, do you want to use this now, or do you want to save it for when we do the
Dial
dialogue?
Are you doing the Dial?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're
Well, can I just do
We
it
hate
all
ourselves.
at once because I had
Sure.
zero time
No,
to prepare for this.
absolutely.
Sure.
Okay, so my Dial H character,
Stop eating that fucking meat tube as a cigar.
Eh.
the Dial H
Yeah,
character
Gracie.
/ DC character that I would like to be, I call her Comfort Constrictus.
Ooh, that sounds hot.
And
Come on.
she's technically a
That's my
villain.
wife.
Nobody talked to my wife.
For now.
Shakir.
And so she's a villain, and her superpower is the ability to talk to anyone and make them feel super comfortable and relaxed
Ooh.
and to get like their secrets out. But here's the catch. She always like finishes off by giving them a hug to make them feel good. And then you know when you're really warm and comfortable under a comforter?
Yeah.
And it feels super heavy on you?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it feels like, but every time they breathe in, you constrict like a boa constrictor. And they don't try to get away because they're so warm and comfortable.
Oh, that's like my ideal death.
So then you basically, I just
erection,
boa constrict hug them to death. But they'd feel really good about it. And that's why they wouldn't try to fight me.
Paging Mr. Carradine.
So there you go.
Also known as the belt.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, comfort constrictus. I like that. So let's also register that as the official Dial Doc submission for Mrs. DC.
Also, I just got a text message from Josh Gill who said that I should slap you in the face.
What?
Because Justice League at 17.
What? Oh, he didn't like my thoughts in our recent Patreon episode?
Apparently not.
Oh my goodness. So Josh Gill and Stump Chunkman and all you fab folk at home, the doctor talks about you guys more than you know. And with catching up and hearing how much they talk about you, mostly in inappropriate ways,
Well, yeah.
I say,
Fucking Josh Gill.
and they'll say to me, like,
You're more part of our family than our real family.
it's ridiculous because they'll say to me,
That our brand new child.
Jesus.
I'm sorry, Kyle.
Well, the best is when they ask, like, have you seen a picture of Josh Gill? And I sit there and I go, no, because I'm a regular person.
No. This
is you need to see a photo of Josh.
This happened the opposite way, where she was like, I don't think I've seen Josh Gill. And then I was like, fine, I'll show you.
I asked.
I showed her one of your quote-unquote thirst traps.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Dude's posting thirst trap on the regs.
Yeah. So, guys, just know.
I think his
I'm just
Instagram is...
cash lifting weights. Whoops.
You guys mean more to these two than you will ever realize.
That's true. You are our only listeners.
That's true.
How funny would that be if we like released what our like listening numbers were and it's like 6?
Oh, God.
So, Richard, what DC character would you be?
Yeah.
Okay, well, my backstory is
no.
very dark.
No.
Of course it is.
For just right off the bat, I'm putting up a strict ban on family members and rooms that aren't meant to be like rooms, like closets or basements
Well,
or
what
things
the
like
fuck
that.
am I supposed to say then?
If you start your character name with Uncle,
No, yeah,
We're done with that, too.
Uncles are out as well.
Well, I got fucking nothing to say then. With that, the Dr. DC podcast will be back after this quick break.
This episode of the Dr. DC podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Great Lakes Grooming Company. They've been our sponsor for a year now, since DocMas last year, and they're terrific, and we love them. I've got beard oil, I've got a beard balm, I've got this great like bristle brush that I use in my beard. But basically, it's great. Even for those of us with no hair up top, if you've got lots on your face, it's terrific. Or if you're more like Richard, you got lots of hair up top. They've got styling creams and lip balms and all sorts of great stuff. Great Lakes Grooming Company is made in Canada. It's environmentally friendly, and it's basically designed for any sort of harsh like weather extremes. So if you like hiking, if you like snowboarding, if you like surfing, like all it doesn't matter what you do, this stuff is great to use. And for you lucky listeners, you get 10% off Great Lakes Grooming's regular price products when you go to greatlakesgrooming.com and use the promo code Dr. DC. That's right. You go to www.greatlakesgrooming.com and you use the promo code Dr. DC. No, that's not it. It's DRDC Podcast. Just making sure you're listening all the way through the ad. That's right. www.greatlakesgrooming.com. Promo code DRDC Podcast. All those people that turn the ad off because they thought they got the code, they're suckers. Not like you, though. You made it all the way through. You're a champion. And now, back to the show.
And we're back.
Hey!
Oh.
Hey there.
To the window!
To the Reddit.
Oh,
The sweat drip down my balls.
It's the place where everyone's nice.
DC.
Reddit. Reddit. Oh God, this name.
So Reddit. So where everyone is nice and no one's ever mean.
That's right. The greatest place ever. The name is 52LUA19BTM.
Rolls off the tongue.
It's just like as if it was created by God himself. 52LUA19BTM asks, what does the Doctor think of the recent New Age of Heroes lineup? One can draw parallels of these characters and Marvel equivalents.
Well, I mean, I suppose one could if one knew anything about Marvel. I think in general.
Apparently, Kyle doesn't like it.
So let's talk about some of the New Age of Heroes lineup. That includes a character like the Silencer, who's like a master assassin. It includes a character like
Kyle does not like that character.
Like Sideways, who gains powers from the dark multiverse and can basically hop between dimensions. It includes Damage, who's like kind of DC's answer to Hulk, really. In general, let's say, it's tough. You have to give these characters, I think, the benefit of the doubt. It's really tough to bring in a brand new character in their own series, right? It's not like these characters are being launched like as secondary characters in an arc or as part of an event or things like that. These are characters who out of nowhere get their own series and are expected to make sales comparable to things like Green Lantern, Green Arrow, like stuff like that. That's a super unrealistic thing to do. But I think, especially in the cases of Sideways and the Silencer, I think they're actually interesting characters. It's not easy to just jump in with a brand new character in their solo series, right?
Yeah.
Booster Gold kind of pulled it off, but like how many haven't?
It's true.
So, I mean, a lot of these New Age of Heroes series have been canceled due to low sales and things like that. Mm-hmm. But do I think that they're all shitty? Absolutely not. Like, The Terrifics is a great series, but that one also banks on characters that have been around a long time, like Metamorpho and Plastic Man and Mr. Terrific and Phantom Girl. But, like The Silencer and Sideways for brand new characters are pretty interesting. I'd like to see more of them. And even though those series, I believe, are both ending, I don't think that they're bad. I mean, what an impossible task they had, right? You have to carry a series as well as a character like Hawkman or the Flash or something like that, like coming out of fucking nowhere. So I mean, I'd definitely be interested in seeing more Silencer and more Sideways. I'm pretty sure Silencer has a live action adaptation already in Arrow, which is pretty crazy for like a brand new character. That's pretty cool, actually. But that character has connections to like
pretty cool.
Has connections to like Ra's al Ghul and like the League of Assassins and things like that. Yeah, what do I think in general of them? I think every once in a while you need to try to introduce a wave of new characters. DC's done it before with things like Bloodlines or immediately post Crisis or whatever, right? Like there's always like a tactic or something to try and introduce a new character. It's not easy for those characters to take, so I don't envy their position at all. But I certainly don't think that New Age of Heroes lineup is objectively bad or anything like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, let's leave Reddit and head on over to our favorite part of the episode where we get questions from Kyle Clark, the comedian, podcaster, writer from Los Angeles, and the podcast This Is Rad. Let's see what he has to say this episode.
Let's do it.
Oh, he has a question. He wants us to pitch a new Rocksteady DC game that does not feature any of the big four: Bats, Superman, Wonder Woman, or Aquaman.
So, sure. Oh my God, what an age we live in that Aquaman is the big four. I fucking love the era we're in.
Thank you, Jason Momoa.
So just for reference, Rocksteady is
I want some Jason Momoa.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We should have been drinking Jason Momoa mimosa samosas.
Oh, okay. Year 3. That's what we'll do.
Yeah. So just for reference, Rocksteady is the company that made all of those Arkham games. So Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, things like that. So if you
have you played those yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
So
he plays. I watch.
So good.
Now, if you had to pick a character to make like that style kind of video game, and it's not Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, who do you want? I mean, I know what Richard would say. We've talked about it before, and it's the Flash.
Yeah.
But
I love the Atom.
Ooh, that would be so fun.
I love the Atom. Because
It'd
then
be-
you could, like, when he shrinks down, he could go literally anywhere.
Oh, that would be so fun.
it would be interesting to invert the idea. Instead of it being like the character moving through the world, it's like the world shifting around the character, right?
Yeah.
So you shrink and the world changes.
Yeah.
That would be...
Yeah.
An
DC
Atom
execs.
Rocksteady game would be so rad. It'd be so easy to do. They already make a bunch of games where you go down to be like the little drone robot thing, so they could easily make an Atom game.
That would be really cool. Do you think you'd go all the way to the microverse? Would you explore?
Ooh.
Yeah, right. What's the point?
Yeah.
If you're not going to go all the way to the microverse. Also, side note, the doctor's been playing. I bought him Mortal Kombat versus DC.
Oh, good game.
So he's been kind of playing through that.
Yeah,
I would
that's
love
a
to
fun
see one
one.
of those, but with Street Fighter versus DC. I'd love to see. I'd love to see like a Blanca.
Except Johnny Cage is a bitch at the best of times.
Seriously, that's your only hang up.
I'm sorry.
That's it.
I know. I don't
Come on.
I don't have much to go on.
Bison versus Luthor. Come on.
Right. Well, who has more bison bucks?
That's true.
Bison or Luthor?
That is very true. Okay.
Yeah, interesting. Richard, other than the Flash, let's say, because that's been one that you've talked about a lot. Who would you want to see like a Arkham style game or a Rocksteady style game from?
I would love to see a Ragman.
No, really?
Yeah.
You're not just saying that because that's like a huge pandery move?
I mean, I should, but no, I think that a Ragman would be awesome because you could, as you go through, get more and more powerful.
Sure.
It really makes sense because as you collect sort of these rags from each character, you could become more and more powerful. You could do it in like a 70s environment, which a lot of games aren't done in.
Like do it immediately post Vietnam.
Yeah. Do it like that. I think that you could have a character that gets more and more powerful, which is really exciting, and it becomes really fun for the player at the end of the day.
Totally.
I think, without a doubt, you could do a Ragman, which I normally wouldn't say, but I just, the more I think about it in this context, it makes a lot of sense.
I still think a Green Lantern one would be interesting if there was like an engine. If you could build it the way that like The Last of Us makes you put pieces together to make a tool. If you could make a lantern one where you have to learn how to do different types of constructs, and then you could learn how to make specific things, I think that would be cool too, to do it like a Green Lantern one.
Kyle says
okay.
that there should be one for Swamp Thing. And you can go through like the red and the green.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that would be really sweet.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
A Swamp Thing game would be so rad.
How could a baby come up with such an idea?
Because
What a smart-ass baby. Oh, my God.
honestly, just before we came here, she was gumming Swamp Thing.
Was she actually?
Yeah, so
Smart baby.
Amazing. I love that.
no.
Yeah, the screams you've heard in the background the whole time are the baby like waddling around and playing.
Doc, you don't have to.
She doesn't waddle.
You don't have to pretend.
There's so many screams in the background of this show that I need to clarify that these ones are finally innocent.
Yeah, they're not like the usual ones that you hear from the doctor.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Well, with that, let's go to the last question, which actually comes from a voicemail.
All right, let's have it.
Mrs. DC, I don't know if you want to put on some headphones so you can
Yeah,
hear
it's
these.
the only way you're going to hear this voicemail. Yeah.
All right. Let's do it.
Okay.
Mary DocMas, gentlemen. Thank you for the playing on there. I just curious. Is there... You know what? I'm going to restart this thing, so please cut this out. Cause, social skills, you know what I mean? Not social skills. Anyway. Mary DocMas, gentlemen.
Merry Dogmas to you.
Thank you for playing the voicemail. I was wondering if... Yeah, I think I'm stuck with this. That's terrible.
It's not the most terrible thing we've heard on this show.
I think that's it.
Oh my goodness.
So, response? What do you,
I think that is it.
what do you think?
I think that might be it.
Well, yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, I technically don't have an answer because it wasn't a question.
Oh, well, Synchro Shukan, I like you a lot, and that's
Is that who it's from?
Yeah.
Yay!
That's awesome. That was great.
Thank you for that.
I like that. All right. Well, with that, let's head on to everyone's favorite part, especially with the baby in the room. We're going to be totally prepared for this part of the episode.
That's right.
Which means that we are going to do the dial doc this week.
Okay.
So we come up with a random character based on the dial H for hero, which is where they dial H on a payphone and come up with a random character. We're going to do the same thing on the podcast. We're going to come up with a random character. So Mrs. DC has already come up with hers.
That's right.
Yes.
Comfort Constrictus.
Comfort Constrictus.
Which is
Because I am not
oh.
creative enough to come up with a second one on.
That's
on
a
the
very
go.
good one.
Yeah.
I didn't know that we were going to be doing this for DocMas, so I'm literally making this all up.
I know. I didn't.
They've all been inspired by something I've seen in the room.
Okay.
So my character is called Barbed.
Okay.
Which is she's an administrative assistant at an office, but she has this problem with where every time she gets upset, she turned into barbed wire.
Okay.
Her name is Barb
Yeah, great.
Wire. And
Barbara Wire.
every time she gets upset, she turns into barbed wire, and everything she touches gets slashed to death.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Mine's called Dry Erase. Not because I'm looking at 4 whiteboards on a wall. So Dry Erase has the ability to basically like undo any particular like moment or comment or action or things like that. But it's not like about rewinding time. It's just that particular thing never happened.
That's awesome.
That's Dry Erase. They could just they wave their hand and be like, oh, and that car never like ran the red light.
Ooh.
That sort of thing. Like,
I lied. I'm mildly
You're gonna do
creative.
one?
I thought
Ooh.
All right.
What's yours?
his name is Tinnitus.
okay.
And I was thinking about this because I was watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine earlier. And you know those machines that play sound and everybody, like, their ears hurt because
Yeah.
it's such a high frequency?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He can do that,
Ooh.
but as a means of travel, he can travel on any sound wave in the vicinity.
Ooh, I like
Oh,
that.
nice. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So,
so-
that's tinnitus.
Tinnitus.
Great.
Nice. So we have tinnitus, Dry Erase, and barbed wire.
Barbed wire.
Barbara Wire.
Yes, that's right. That's awesome.
Amazing.
Well, if you want to send us your own hero or villain that you can come up with, all you have to do is just message us with the hashtag DialDoc and send us your hero or villain. Or you can send us a question or just generally nerd out with us. All you have to do is reach out to us through our various social media platforms, such as Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast.
Twitter,
At Dr. DC.
Instagram.
Dr. DC Podcast.
We've got an email.
DrDCPodcast at gmail.com.
We got one of those fancy subreddits.
r/Dr_DC.
You can also check out our articles and merch on our website.
DrDCPodcast.com or .ca.
Ooh, and fancy, you can call us now. We've already gotten one of those calls from what was his name?
Synchro Shukan.
Synchro Shukan. Yeah, that's right. Which means you can leave us a voice message at 208-917-DCEU. That's 208-917. I'm drunk. Don't forget to rate and review
No,
us.
you actually have to say the number.
Oh, it's 3238.
Yeah, there you go.
And don't forget to review and subscribe and rate us 5 stars on iTunes.
And if you do, the Doc and Richard will send you white wine because I certainly got enough for my review.
Oh, hell yeah. Also, if you get us we're at 21 reviews right now. If you get us to 30, we're going to do a live stream video episode.
Yeah,
so you'll be able to see us be stupid in person. You see all of the hand motions that the doctor does for his reenactments.
You'll get
in
to see
person.
that it's not just our souls that are ugly.
Yes, it's our personalities as well. With that, we will see you tomorrow for more DocMas. Same doc time, same Christmas season. Ciao, ciao.
Adios.
Merry DocMas.
That's right.
All the superheroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.
Oh,
Are you done playing?
it's a baby. That's an active baby.
Give me